The sun was setting over the horizon, casting long shadows over the dense, silent forest. A small family of settlers, William, his wife Catherine, their eldest daughter Thomasin, and their younger children had been exiled from their Puritan colony for their father's unyielding religious beliefs. They set off to establish a life on the edge of an ominous, sprawling forest, unaware of the unspeakable horrors lurking within. Their homestead, built with their own hands, seemed promising at first. William worked tirelessly to cultivate the land, while Catherine tended to the children. Thomasin, caught between adolescence and adulthood, cared for her infant brother, Samuel. But the serenity was fleeting. One afternoon, while playing a game of peek-a-boo with Samuel by the edge of the woods, Thomasin uncovered her eyes to find the baby gone. Frantic, she called for her parents. They searched every corner of the woods, but Samuel had vanished without a trace. Unbeknownst to them, deep in the woods, a shadow moved swiftly, clutching the crying infant. The figure disappeared into the dark, twisted heart of the forest where a sinister force awaited. The family's loss unraveled them. Catherine spiraled into grief, blaming Thomasin for negligence. William, guilt-ridden over their exile, doubled down on his faith, praying fervently for divine intervention. As days passed, strange occurrences plagued the family. Crops withered unnaturally, livestock grew sick, and at night, an eerie howling echoed through the trees. The younger twins, Mercy and Jonas, whispered about Black Philip, their goat, claiming he spoke to them in a voice only they could hear. They teased Thomasin, accusing her of being a witch, which planted seeds of paranoia in Catherine's mind. One evening, Thomasin ventured near the edge of the woods to gather firewood. The air grew colder, and she felt an unnatural presence watching her. Suddenly, she heard Samuel's cry, a faint, heart-wrenching sound. Desperate, she followed it into the trees, but the forest seemed alive, closing in around her with every step. She stumbled upon a clearing where a decrepit hut stood. Smoke billowed from the crooked chimney, and an unholy stench filled the air. Thomasin turned to flee but found herself face to face with a hunched figure cloaked in shadow. The witch's gnarled hand reached out, and before Thomasin could scream, the figure vanished, leaving her trembling in the moonlight. When Thomasin returned, disoriented and shaken, her family was waiting, their expressions dark with suspicion. Mercy and Jonas claimed Thomasin had bewitched them, and Catherine's grief turned to anger. She accused her daughter of bringing ruin to their family. Desperate to prove her innocence, Thomasin begged her father to believe her. William, though torn, decided they must confront the evil head-on. He took Thomasin into the woods, armed with his faith and his axe, to find the source of their torment. The deeper they went into the forest, the darker it became. They stumbled upon the witch's hut, its door slightly ajar. Inside, they found horrifying remnants of dark rituals, bones, blood, and symbols carved into the walls. A cauldron bubbled with a foul-smelling concoction. Suddenly, the witch appeared, her eyes glowing like embers. She whispered incantations, and the forest seemed to come alive, branches clawing at them like hands. William charged at her, but the witch raised her hand, and he was flung back as if struck by an invisible force. Thomasin, paralyzed with fear, saw the witch transform into a beautiful woman, her voice now soft and alluring. "Come with me," she beckoned, promising freedom from her family's cruelty and a life without suffering. But Thomasin resisted, grabbing her father's axe and striking the witch. The forest trembled, the witch shrieked, and her body dissolved into ash. When Thomasin and her father returned, they found their homestead in ruins. Catherine had succumbed to madness, and the twins were nowhere to be found. Only Black Philip remained, staring at Thomasin with an unsettling intelligence. That night, as Thomasin sat alone by the dying fire, Black Philip spoke to her in a deep, resonant voice. "Do you wish to live deliciously?" he asked. Exhausted and broken, Thomasin followed him into the woods, where a coven of witches danced under the full moon. She joined them, her laughter echoing as she rose into the air, free at last from her earthly chains.